Hi, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining another SafetyChain Customer Spotlight. We're broadcasting live from the C-suite today. My name is Aaron Bolshaw, part of the SafetyChain team, and here to tell the help to tell the success story of Blue Bell Creameries, how they use a data-driven approach to quality programs. Really excited about this one today to bring you all. And just to let you all know, we can't hear you. We do want to hear from you though. So if you have any questions, please share them using that console on your right, the GoToWebinar console. And we'll get to some questions at the end. We'll save them for the end. Hopefully we'll have a good conversation with y'all too. So this is going to be an informal conversational approach. After this is all wrapped up, anybody that registered is going to get the link to the recording. So if you have any problems, possibly with audio issues, good idea is to use that call-in number. So without further ado, anybody not familiar with the C-suite, it's from SafetyChain, it's our initiative to help evolve and extend modern plant management capabilities through action-oriented, real-time operational visibility. It's literally being able to see the operations of your plant in the palm of your hand, right? From a leadership perspective, it's, we kind of understand. We've been around the business for a while and we understand process manufacturing. The digital transformation can appear like a very daunting journey. And our overarching goal is to provide objective insight to accelerate that journey and proactively avoid common barriers and pretty much get to the destination known as your potential. So we're going to be seeing a lot of the C-suite today with Blue Bells, and we encourage you to share your story of your journey on social media, and you can also check us out at safetychain.com. So Josh Kalich, a fantastic guy. We've been working with him a little bit, putting this story together. Been in the food business over 10 years with a broad range of specialties across protein, dairy, poultry, CPG, bakery. Man, you've been there, done that. And you've got a good, deep understanding of HACCP, GMP, USDA inspections. A lot of microbe testing, as you can imagine, coming in the dairy department, but also allergen segregation, lots more. Just absolutely an expert in food safety technologies. Josh, thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
Hey, thank you, Aaron. I'm very happy to be here.
Good. And you're just back from spring break just yesterday, so you enjoyed some much deserved time away from the plant with your family, and I imagine the reality has now hit you, and instead of swimming in the ocean, you're swimming in a sea of emails and critical issues to attend to now that you're back. So very, very happy that you can spend some time with us on your second day back from vacation. We all know how that goes.
Yeah, thank you. You hit it on the head.
All right, so let's get into it. Nobody buys software because it's fun. There's just no point in doing it. There's always something to solve, some problems, challenges, or opportunities. So when we look back, Josh, on your journey from getting to this data-driven approach to your quality programs, you were looking at a few vendors. Talk to us about what the problems, the big ones that you wanted to solve were in your plants.
So yes, the main big thing was we were collecting a lot of data on paper or on the computer, but we really weren't doing anything with it. There was no graphs or trending being done with it. So we really had no easy way to put everything together and analyze any trends. So tracking and trending data was a main focus, and SafetyChain has definitely made it a lot easier and very eye-opening. We wanted an easier and quicker way to access the data and the records. So with the 3 manufacturing plants that we have, this was important because it takes time to ask, receive data and records from other plants. So now we can see it all here. We can see it on the computer and see their data and what we need to do with it. Another thing was going paperless. So we had mass amounts of paper, like I'm sure everyone else does. So what was the easiest way to get rid of the paper? We wanted to find a software chain that could help us do this and make it easy on us, easy to learn and easy to use. We were going to be training many employees on 3 different plants. So we needed the easiest software to train on the tablet and on the computer. And SafetyChain has definitely been a huge help, and we look forward to many more things we can do with it.
Yeah. And we talked, Josh, it was interesting. Some of the stuff you were talking about, when do you involve IT? Did they need to get involved? And really, it was just kind of a nice nod from your IT department because, with SafetyChain, it does work on any device, any operating system. It's agnostic. You don't have to get specific, tablets to run it. You don't have to do anything at all. So you were able to use what the lab had existing in there and didn't have to change any of their processes around as far as a device or hardware perspective. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, we already had computers in a lot of in the labs, in our offices. So we needed something that was compatible with the computer and as we could use the tablet on the production floor. So like I said, we already had computers everywhere. So being able to use them for SafetyChain was a plus, but still being able to use the tablet for certain checks on the floor. And IT was very welcoming to this and liked this aspect as well.
I bet. And it's, listen, if you can make IT smile, you're doing the right thing because that's
That's right. That's right.
that can be a hurdle. So this going paperless, this is really what unlocks the data portion of this when you start to say, hey, we wanted to drive performance of our quality programs through data and tracking and trending data. You didn't want to just have this snapshot moment in time piece of the puzzle, right? You needed to be able to say what's
Right.
happening through a long period of time. Where are some issues at, so you can address them more systematically. So
Correct.
good. Well, talk to us then real quick. Just run us through the programs because it's not just one thing you're doing with SafetyChain. It's a few things. You've got food safety programs and quality and internal. Walk us through how you're using the programs and applications.
So a lot of the programs we're using for BRC is we're also doing not only checks on the production floor, but we're using SafetyChain for a lot of our inspections as well. So whether it be condensation checks or just GMP inspections throughout the plant, outside the plant, the tablets come in real handy to use these for inspections. And then we can go back and see our problem areas. We can easily email them to certain people, and they're easy to access by other individuals.
Yeah, that's one of those nice added benefits where you're not having to run around and look for that paper anymore, are you? You're not running around saying, "Oh gosh, where was that one check that maybe didn't go wrong?" Or was there a time where you had maybe a table set up somewhere with just a stack of exceptions that somebody had to go look at and figure out, what happened?
Oh yes, there was. And then, I mean, not only did we have to go through the stacks of paper, but then we would have to take that form, that inspection form, and we would either have to put it in an email and send it to someone, or we had to scan it to someone. And it was just a lot of steps to get that information to someone else. So through SafetyChain, we could just easily automatically download it and email it to someone.
Yeah. So you're running BRC, FSMA, standard ops. Talk to us a little bit going through the quality programs. You got finished product. What else?
We use it for the metal detection. That's a big process of ours. So we do it use SafetyChain for all of our metal detection checks. One of the things I like about the metal detection is we have a check that we built in. It's for positive metal detector alerts, and so that's a big one too that we look at every day. And this automatically gives us a signal if there was a positive metal detector alert. It alerts us, and so that we can see it. We can see it right away and don't have to wait to be notified. The condensation checks are also a big thing. We like this because we can take the tablet on the production floor, and as soon as the technician's done doing the check, we can see what happened, if there's any issues, and go from there.
Good. Yeah, I think that's I would imagine through some of these programs, were you rekeying any of the data into an Excel spreadsheet through here?
Probably the finished product checks
Yeah.
and product variability checks. We had a lot of Excel documents on that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, that's just more manual work, right? This is something
Right.
you're taking some stuff from somebody that wrote something down on a piece of paper, rekeying it into an Excel spreadsheet. And that's that there's going to be human error that happens in that process. It's absolutely a known fact. None of us are surprised at that. But then you have to then email it around to make sure the right people get it and see it, right? Now,
Right.
now it's everyone has access to it, even on their phone if they want, a smartphone. You can work it basically from anywhere. But where do you usually? I'm curious, Josh. Where are you most often using SafetyChain? Are you at your PC or your desktop?
Yes. Mostly I'm at my desk watching it on the computer, and some of my colleagues too. I've shared some of the dashboards with them, so if they're interested in a certain check, they can automatically see it throughout the day as well, especially the finished product checks and the metal detection.
Yeah, yeah. So let's walk through. You get an exception. Normally it would have been, oh, somebody has to check my work, right? There was this. Did you have a record review and sign off process on paper that you had to be able to also translate into the software?
Yes, so we did have a verification on each documentation on each paper, and so someone was going through those papers throughout the day, daily on a daily process, and so now it's so much easier. They can be at their desk, look at it on the computer. They can bring up a wide range of forms. They can bring up one form, a few days worth, whatever they want to look at, and go off and verify these forms.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. It is very unique to SafetyChain. The architecture behind this makes it so that you can get to what you're looking for very quickly, whether it's from the form or at a field level. Like if there's an exception somewhere, maybe a check didn't happen on the floor right, and it will give you the ability to find it, review it, and quickly, either clear it out, sign it off, or move on, right? Or understand.
Right, right,
Sometimes, Josh, it's just about understanding. Oh, that thing happened. I know what that is. That's not going to cause a slowdown. We're not going to have to shut the line off. So thank goodness, right?
right. And also one thing we do here, we do some paperwork audits every so often. And so instead of going and finding a week's worth of documents, searching through filing cabinets, we just go straight on the computer and pick a date range and just look at them.
Fantastic. So you actually do a paperwork audit, and all you're doing is saying, I want to see every piece of documentation from, let's call it, March 1st to March 19th. Boom, it pulls in. You're able to review them. Now, you're not printing that off, are you? You're actually reviewing them on
No,
desktop, right?
just reviewing them on the desktop. Correct.
Yeah, the massive time savings of just not having to go looking for stuff is, and let's just be honest, it can be frustrating, right? When you can't, especially when you can't find that thing you're looking for.
Right, right.
It's like the story of our lives now, whether it's something you saw in an email somewhere. I thought you'd start searching your email for it. You go and check and see if you can find it in the filing cabinet. That goes away because you're able to search very quickly. So
Correct.
good. Well, the project kicks off, so we start to get to work for y'all, right? So we take great pride in making sure that we make you successful within a very short time. We want to make sure that you see value very quickly. So talk to us a little bit. When you were selecting SafetyChain, what kind of considerations did you need to address?
We'll talk about usability and training. Something that's fast to learn. We didn't want to take a long time training, but yet we wanted to make sure that each individual was trained trained well enough to complete checks and use SafetyChain. So the usability was a big factor in that. Of course, we had IT involved at the beginning, but once we got the check from them, then the ball was on our court to decide what we wanted to do. And then again, with the 3 locations, we wanted to make sure we had standardization between all 3 plants. So when we started building the forms, it was a lot easier now to look at the forms and standardize them across all 3 plants. We started at our Brittle location first and made sure all the forms were correct here, and then we rolled them out at the other 2 locations.
Mm-hmm. That's critical, Josh. That standardization of the data really helps you to unlock that tracking and trending of data, because if you've got different processes for quality checks for all of these things through your plants, you're never going to be able to compare apples to apples. Now that's, sometimes it's kind of a simple thing that's overlooked, but it's really critical. You needed that to be data driven, right?
Correct. And as we were building these forms and doing the training and getting more people involved, they actually bought into this and were coming to me and saying, hey, we could do this way, or change it up this way and make it a lot easier, more efficient. And so we got a lot more buy-in from everyone by that.
Yeah. That's good. Well, just kind of talking about that training, we often find that the process of training a new employee, other customers, Josh, I don't pretend to know your workforce, but some of our customers have, sometimes migrant labor or sometimes just temp labor, right? They've got to get people on the floor. And training somebody new like that takes a while, right? Where this form, because of the way you can build it, it's foolproof. You have to start at the top and go all the way through it. If you miss anything, it won't let you go on. It's going to alert you, no, you didn't do this check. You can also build in some helpful use tips, so that it helps people to say, hey, listen, all you have to do is go through this form. I'll show it to you once, but after that, you're pretty confident they have an understanding because of the way it's architected, right?
Right, and you could build in specifications in the form and if there's something was out of spec that an individual entered, they have to enter a corrective action. So it was very, very well put together, and to where individuals learned it very easily and understood it.
You also told me about a time when you thought one of the forms just wasn't as usable as you wanted it to for an operator on the floor. You saw that they maybe had to do some extra scrolling, or they were kind of confused. Tell me about what you did on that UX UI and the time frame in which you did that in.
So the individual came to me, and the form was not the way they liked it, the way they envisioned it. And so I got them involved. I asked them, okay, so what do you want? How are you going to operate it? And so we did change a few things, made it easier to use, and enabled like the attachment function to where they weren't doing as much writing, where they could just take a picture of something, and that would be the data that we needed. And so just getting other people involved, I encourage you to do that for sure.
Oh, that's a great tip, Josh. Yeah, I mean, they're the ones going to be using this. Let's make sure we make them happy, right? But
right.
You bring up a really good point. You're able to provide a richer understanding of what's going on the line just by being able to take a picture, right? You always say picture's worth 1,000 words. I love that you said,
right.
Why don't we just take a picture of what's happening right here? That picture then becomes a part of that record, right? That's even something that audited very, very simply, where you're going through the records and you can say, oh, hey, 3 weeks ago, there was, I don't know, something on the floor, you take a picture of it. Oh, that's what it was. That's right. Everyone can see this that has the proper access to do it. So that's a great thing. Now, did you need to call IT to help fix that form and get it stood up and altered?
No, we didn't involve IT at all. I mean, my project manager taught me very well, and she was very good, and I could do everything myself and even show someone else how to do it. So IT was not really involved at all.
Yeah, I believe your project manager. She's literally in the dairy world, born into it. In fact, so
Yeah, she was very, very knowledgeable.
yeah, yeah, she's great. She's great. Good, good. Well, we get these forms, we get them going, we get data analysis and this business intelligence, right? You needed this stuff real time. Before you would, if you needed to find something, let's say there's an exception or something, or there was a bad check. How would you even go about finding that without Safety Chain before?
Um, Really waiting on the individual to call you or inform you, and I mean that could take minutes or 30 minutes, an hour, um, and so it's SafetyChain is such less time consuming. I mean, you can look on the dash and see something in red and know, hey, that was out of spec. I mean, right there then and there when they perform the check, and so that's how quick it was.
Yeah, and that's that instantaneous. I mean, you're able to make decisions quickly with more information, right? There's never any guessing now. It's like, hey, here's all of the information because it's how we built the form, it's how we built the check. Now you can understand what's really going on and make a decision. Do we need to shut down the line? Oh no, do we need to? Or no, is this something, it's a known issue, we can do this. And again, you can, like you said, Josh, you can make sure that there's a corrective action there as well, so that
Right,
it closes the loop right then and there. So
right.
good, good. And then it's just about boiling it up into a dashboard, right? You talked about the tracking and trending data. We're going to spend a lot of time, and I'm really excited to show some of the dashboards that you use, because I think you are, an advanced dashboarder, if you will. Before we get there, I just wanted to say, so Kim's on the line, Josh, and she says hello.
Oh, okay. Hello.
All right. Well, let's get into some of these dashboards. We keep talking about, trending and tracking data and things like this. I'm just going to walk through some of these with you and just kind of ask and poke around a little bit. What we're looking at here is the metal detection dashboard, right? So this is
Right.
super, super common check, right? In food facilities, obviously not just dairy, but let's break down what you see here. How do you know what's needing your attention from this screen here?
So, I mean, as long as everything's in green and the amount of checks per day have been performed, we're okay. If you see any red, that means, I mean, a metal detector check has failed and it needed immediate corrective action. And so that's the main things we look for on this dashboard. And then this is also connected to another dashboard that we have. It's the positive metal detector alerts. And so if there's a positive metal detector alert, that will also notify us. And we have several things that they fill out on that form if there was one, but it automatically notifies us as well if there's a positive alert.
Yeah, that's the important part, right? You don't have to sit here and watch this waiting for it to go off, right? It'll
Right.
Safety will send you an alert as you want it. This isn't the standard thing. This is not some default thing. You work with Safety Chain to say, this is really important for us to be able to check right away. I need an alert, and we'll get that, right?
Correct.
Cool, cool. So overall, obviously you passed flying colors here, but you can see on the lower left, you can see the metal detection checks by hour. It looks like, overnight, there's probably not a shift at
Hmm.
this location. You're going to be able to
Correct.
see by hour how many are going in and getting checked. You've got 69 records. So this is basically showing in the last 2 days when we took this quick snapshot, right? This is just the last 2 days. So we've got, about 70 checks, 100% pass rate. Everything's looking good. You can go on with your day, right?
Correct.
So when you're coming back from spring break, just curious, right? Because everyone has to take some time off. When they come back, what are you looking for when you come? Are you looking for your metal detection? What's the first thing you kind of come back to?
The metal detection is probably the biggest that we look for right now. Um, Finished product checks, weight checks, that's something else that we're looking at too. And so I mean, I'll just select the date range and view those day by day that I was out, and so all the data's there, and see if there was any red, any corrective actions, and see what kind of follow-ups needed.
Great. Great. Yeah. Much easier, right? You can imagine coming
Right.
back from spring break and then going and looking at a bunch of paper. Could you even imagine that now?
Right.
All right. Well, one of my favorite topics, personally, Butterfat. It's the
Yeah.
good stuff. We've got a couple of things here that we're looking at, Josh. So at SPC charting, though, it is hands down best way to understand precisely how things are running in any process for manufacturing operations. So let's dig in here a little bit. So first, we have a couple of sites. We got Brenham and Silac. I was going to mess.
Silicaga, yes.
Silicaga. Okay. All right. So we've got two facilities, right? And what we're doing is we're taking a look at the Butterfat by plant, but we're also doing SPC charting. Okay. So beneath this one on the left, you can kind of just see the percentages and some stuff that makes sense. You'll know what's wrong. I don't know what these numbers are, and we don't need to know, but I want to focus our attention on that SPC charting, right? That's
Right.
that's this way. Remember, we standardize the data by way of SafetyChain, right? The forms are all make sure that everything's standardized. So we're seeing apples to apples. What do you look for when you look at the Butterfat across plants?
Mainly just anything that's out of spec. So anything that's above our upper control limit or below our lower control limit. And this was important because it's our QC department looks at it. Anytime R&D, if they have any questions about this, we can pull up this information and show them the SPC charts, and I mean compare them to all three plants if they want. And so this data is very important.
Yeah, and this is where, this is just one example of SPC charting, but we do have several customers using this to make sure that they're not cooking out their profit too. I mean, if you overcook something, your weight's going down. So you can imagine that SPC charting really does make sense. And you can define your own upper and lower control limits, which then gives you the ability to tighten those specs and really adjust your operations to say, hey, listen, we want to make sure that we're delivering quality product always. There's just no doubt about it. But there's these hidden opportunities in SPC charting, right?
Right.
So
And I like this because this is all, I mean, it's automatically done for you. So no more having to put these numbers in an Excel sheet and graph and create the graphs yourself. This is all done for you, and you build it how you want it uniquely to yourself.
yeah, and I mean, I personally I love running SPC charting out of Excel. Said no one ever.
Yeah.
So again, we just take because this is a database that you can go into, and it's basically it's your data, so you get to make the best use out of it. Now, I did want to draw our attention. We see a run rule alert here, don't we, on the right here?
Yeah.
So looks like something spiked. It's above that upper control limit, right?
Right.
When this happens, do you just personally speaking, do you take any action on specific run rules, or do you look at this and just say, okay, let's take a look and see? Do you dive into the record and see was it checked? What would you do in this situation when you see a run rule alert?
Yeah, we'll go in and see what kind of corrective action was put in place for this one, and then and two, if it was missed by someone, you can go back and do retraining or whatever need be. But yeah, definitely we would look at some corrective action and go from there.
Got it. Got it. An interesting feature too that we didn't see in here, but you can also put in notes. You can surface a note on these so that, let's say, Josh, someone else wants to know what happened there. You can surface that that note to say, hey, listen, this happened and it was fixed. The corrective action is this, and it's done, right? So it even
Right.
makes sure that you again, we're not going and running around looking for that piece of paper to make sure the corrective action happened and who did it and who signed off on it. It's all right there in the dashboard.
Right. There's no looking for the person, looking for the paperwork. It's right there.
All right, and I'm trying to remember. Run rule number one is it's just one above or outside of the control limit, right?
Right.
Yep. Very good. All right. Well, let's keep going. That's butterfat again. Yum. So this is important. Exceptions, right? So, and what's unique to SafetyChain is the ability to slice and dice the data, because again, the data architecture that this is all structured with. This is where it really starts to shine, because you're able to slice and dice how you want to. So, take us through. You're coming in. This is looking at 1 week's worth of data. You can see that in the upper left, and we're looking at a total of 122 records across these checks. So what are you looking for here? What's going to stick out to you? And then, how does it make it easier than what you used to do?
So here, I mean, we can definitely see we have a lot of out of spec records, and so this definitely throws a red flag to us. So we can go back and see how long this has been happening, what kind of values are we getting, and we can talk about this as a team and either adjust our specs or adjust something on the production floor. What do we need to do? But this definitely helps us because, I mean, we don't have to lay out a bunch of paperwork or email Excel sheets. We can see this comparison here.
Yep. And it's important too, you can drill down and say, hey, do you want this? We're showing on the bottom part here, we're showing the details, but you can just get the roll-up summary, or you can just get the corrections.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also, as you need it, hey, we get it. This is your data, right? So if you need to take this out, pull it into a Excel spreadsheet. Maybe you want to make it a fancy something for maybe something else. Ultimately, you can. It's your data, right? So, but the
Right.
ability to look at exceptions by form, field, and resource is very unique, and it's again, it lends itself to that ease of use, usability, making it really easy for people to find what they need when they need it, right? So this is a great one. I like this.
All right.
So,
And what's unique about this too is I like the filter function. You can, like you said, you can drill down to whatever you need. You can filter by anything, the resource, form, date, location. You can drill down as unique as you want it.
yeah, let's say let's say you're in the facility, and you just want to look at a certain type of ice cream line that's going on. You can instantly go into there and say, hey, show me only the records that pertain to this line here. Boom, and you'll have a full display, right? We call the thing down
Right.
below, sometimes we call it the news feed, right? So if you can imagine, as checks are going on through your three plants, they're just developing these records, right? And these records come into a news feed. Well, you can sit there and watch the news feed all day. Everyone knows how to doom scroll now, it seems like. But
Yeah.
this is a little bit different than doom scrolling. You don't need to doom scroll. Things are looking good, and it just kind of pops up, and you only need to go and attend to those things that you feel are super important. Any of those exceptions or some checks that are looking suspicious, right?
Correct.
Good. So how has the visibility to see nonconformances here and the response used by your team to address issues helped you to become a more strategic partner? How has this enabled you, Josh, to be not just worried about the paper and the process of getting the paper from here to there and doing that? What do are you able to be a more strategic partner to the business?
Yes. Definitely by other departments. It helps other departments as well. Um, and I'm going back to the all three plants. It's so much easier to gather data from the other two plants if we need it, and compare their data to ours, and why are they having out of spec product and why are we not? And so it's a lot easier.
Yeah, good. Good. Well, of course, we got to freeze. You're in the business of freezing stuff, so temperature checks, again, a very common sort of check for anyone cooking or freezing things. But for many, this is really critical. I was talking about it earlier about making sure yields are met. You can cook out your profits. Sometimes people call it giveaway. There's a bunch of words for it, but SPC charting like this is designed to give operators and operations the tool to understand where giveaway occurs, where they can improve, where they can, make sure that they're staying on spec, but also, not overfill sometimes. Does this happen in ice cream? How does this help you? How does the SPC charting make sure that your product is on spec and customers are happy?
Yeah, this helps us because our mix has to be a certain temperature and our fill has to be a certain temperature. So anything that's out of our range, we can make adjustments and make sure that we don't have anything out of our legal range. And so this definitely does help. We can see it throughout the day.
Good. Yeah. And it's any process has variability involved in it. On the top here, you can see there's a couple of run rules that we're hitting, but again, it's being able to understand what those the upper control limit, the lower control limit, your X bar right there in the middle. What we find is that through time, our customers are generally going back to this SPC charting and going, wait a second, we could actually adjust our spec because we're able to control that variable process even better, right? Have
Right.
you done anything like that, Josh? Have you adjusted anything since putting in SafetyChain?
Yes, we have actually. A couple weeks ago, like our R&D department asked, they wanted some displacement results from our Alabama plant for a certain month, and so they were able to send over that data, and I was able to show them to the data for that month, and we knew we were kind of having issues, and so we looked at that data more. They talked it over, and we did move our spec around for that specific check.
Got it. Yeah, and so I remember we were talking about this, Josh, that just the action of getting that request from R&D and being able to fulfill it almost like almost instantaneously. Yeah, here you go. I'm going to run my report, pick my dates. Here's the data, right? That
Right.
process. I'm sure that was a lot nicer than maybe what it was in the past.
Right. Yep. Having to spend the time to search for it on the computer or look at the paperwork and send it over to them. It saves so much time.
Yeah. Good. Well, that's just some of the dashboards. This isn't all of them, but this all boils down. We started out by talking about, hey, going on this journey, and you needed to be able to do these certain things. It had to make sure it worked with your existing lab equipment. Didn't want to put some new tablets in there. So we boil it down though, Josh, and now we've got these benefits. So walk us through the impact SafetyChain has had on Blue Bell Creameries.
One thing I really didn't talk about was how SafetyChain has now allowed us to use the task scheduler. So there's no more forgetting checks or forgetting when to do this or when to do that. And so the task scheduler has definitely helped the departments send a reminder on when the check is due, and so that we don't have any late checks done or missed checks. And so that has definitely helped us. We no longer have to print the paper out, make sure that there's paper available next day for the checks. Managers can definitely see the real-time data either on their own computer or tablet, so they don't have to go searching for that clipboard with that piece of paper on there. They can see it on their own computer. And then the dashboard intelligence, the tracking and trend of data has definitely helped, and it's going to definitely help us in the future as we continue to learn more and continue to see what all other information we can actually gather from this software.
Yep. When we talked, we ballparked this one, Josh. You were pretty confident that you're spending much less than half the time you'd normally do to just, if you think about it, finding and addressing quality issues and non-conformances, right? So think about all the labor hours that you put in and your team puts in over the course of a year, and cut that in half because we're just presenting the data to you instantly. It's always there. It's always on, right? And one of the things we didn't talk about too is, your connection, right? So we hear a lot from prospects and people we talk to about, hey, this is something that could probably benefit you. Well, I got some areas in my plant that I don't have great wireless. We always get
Right.
that. And then it becomes this sort of story about where they need hardware resources from IT and stuff like this. But with SafetyChain, there's an offline mode, right? So
Right, and that's definitely been beneficial to us. A couple of our metal detector checks, the Wi-Fi is not the greatest, but they can still complete the check on the tablet, and when they are able to have Wi-Fi, it automatically submits it. So that definitely helped.
yeah, it syncs up. You're not skipping a beat. You don't have to worry about that. And by the way, it's just some of these facilities. I mean, geez, the amount of stainless steel, it would be pretty
Right.
hard for a Wi-Fi signal to really reach every nook and cranny. So, that was one of those things that was really important to SafetyChain when we brought this to market, which was just, hey, we just got to be honest with ourselves here. How are these plants really operating? Some of them don't have any wireless. So,
Yeah,
how do we
correct.
do? Yeah, but I like that you talked about the task scheduler too. That does save a lot of time. I mean, just the hassle. No, first of all, no one wants to be reminded of something, and no one wants to remind somebody of something. So it just kind of takes that and pushes it into the software. The software will remind you, hey, this is a check that needs to happen at this time. It's tasked, it's scheduled out, and it happens. So it's a lot easier that way.
Right. And it's going
Data,
to greatly help for audits as well.
Yeah, the audits. I mean, you guys have some really interesting audits, like different types of audits than well, you have the standards and everything like this. But talk to me just high level. What's the before and after look like for an audit? How many days were you spending preparing for that audit, and then before SafetyChain and now?
The biggest part was during the audit, when an auditor would ask for a certain date range of paperwork, um, we would have to ask, we would ask the departments to provide us and find the paperwork and provide it to us. And now we can pull it up on the screen and show them whatever date range they need, whatever check they want to look at. And so it's instantaneously.
And you're eliminating the need to even show somebody how to file that in the right order so that it would be easier to pull up for that audit, right? I mean, it's just so
Right.
much so and fast, right? The nice thing that we enjoy with SafetyChain is you can sometimes overshow an audit or something, if you know what I mean. But with Safety, you
Correct.
can just show up with exactly what they wanted to see and nothing more, and that's it.
Right.
And that keeps them running smooth. The auditors like it, right? We get a lot of feedback from auditors that say, okay, SafetyChain is pretty sweet, right?
Right.
Because it makes their job simpler. They're only looking at this because if they find some weird stuff, yeah, that's what they're supposed to do, and they're going to go in and dive in deep. But presenting it in the format that you have, often with pictures, right? It
Right.
really does a good job syncing your teams up with that audit. So very good. One more, I gotta hammer this one more time, Josh. The data standardization is so critical. Um, uh, we find, and I don't know if this was the case, but maybe in your past you've seen this. Sometimes we show up and we do this process called the blueprinting process, and we really just kind of get to know your team, the process. We need to understand the equipment that you're using. We really want to make sure that you succeed, right? Our customers succeed. Sometimes we find copies of forms being used. Now, there's some problems here, right? We know that maybe a form got one of the paper forms was updated 2 weeks ago, but
Right.
the check isn't happening properly because somebody's just doing what they need to do really quickly, which is I need to go make a copy. I need 40 more sheets of this. They're going to go run to the copy machine, right? So that's one
Right.
of those things we always kind of tell people, if you see paper forms running around and you can tell that they're copies of copies, right? They're kind of off kilter. The quality is really low. It's not printed from a master file. That's a problem. And you were able to make sure all of this was eliminated because there is no more paper forms on these checks. They're all on the tablets or on the workstations in the lab, right?
Right. And making sure that they were using the right revision, or making sure that they were using a document that was actually document controlled. And so now we have have more access to what they're using and what they're able to use.
Yep. And plus, any document that you need that for your operational procedure, that's always in SafetyChain. There's always a place where you can go that says this is the exact check, this is what we're looking for, and that's critical just to make sure that you're doing the right thing as far as a whole quality program, right?
Correct.
All right. Well, we've got a few questions coming in. We're perfectly on time, Josh. I've got a few of them coming in, so I appreciate everyone sticking around. We've got one from James. Some of these I hope you can answer. So
Okay.
the first one is pretty simple. He's asking, so is this from manual data recorded by operators that has been captured digitally? So he was asking about that when we were looking at the dashboards, right? This was data
Right. This was data captured. Yeah, it was a form that they were using on the production floor, built it in the SafetyChain, and it's they were doing it manual before, and now they're performing the checks on the tablet or the computer, entering all the data, and then from there that we take that data and put it however we want on the dashboard and build our dashboard.
Yep. So this is all digital. And remember, again, I keep saying it's standard processes, right? Oh, hey, I didn't mean to ask, Josh, one of the tips that we've heard from other customers on implementation is, did you just make a carbon copy of that paper form and then build it out in the digital? Or did you take the time to say, wait a second, we could do this a little bit better? And did you make some adjustments to the actual forms themselves?
So what I did is, again, a project manager showed me very well, take a completed form and see how they were completing that form and build that form in a SafetyChain. And again, involve the departments that are building these forms, and they'll tell you what's good, what's bad, and what could be changed, and anything that's beneficial.
Awesome. So yeah, taking the time to not just copy what you're doing, but do it better through this process. You got the hood open. You got the hood open, right?
Right.
All right. So I have another question coming in. How is the data collected on the floor? So there's a couple of ways I can take that one, Josh. It's really up to you.
Okay.
So, one, if you want to, and this is more on sort of the OEE side of the house, not necessarily what you're doing, but we can do sensors. You can plug in, if it's a scale, you can do a snap on a scale very easily, and it'll capture that data, right? Temperature can snap, you take a temperature, that's going to go right into either a workstation or a tablet, right? So that it's automatically capturing that data. We want to make it as easy as possible for users on the floor, those operators, but also eliminate as much hand pushing of buttons, right? You absolutely will always have humans and errors happen. So there's almost any way you collect data right now on the floor. It's just using a digital form and also using like a digital scale or a thermometer, or sometimes pH, condensation, stuff like that. We also can put sensors on equipment for bigger jobs, right? So if we need to count some things, if we need to make sure that the machine is running, like uptime, downtime, stuff like that, we can use sensors, or we can also, because of the architecture of SafetyChain, we can go right into SCADA, PLCs. We can actually integrate holistically with big systems. So, and that's not often the case. I mean, some competitors out there are very much just an app on a phone, right? It's just not going to be that enterprise kind of grade software. So, all right, another question coming in. How do you control foreign material concerns around the tablets being on the floor?
So the tablets we've added to our glass and brittle plastic, and so they're inspected on a daily basis, as well as we do wipe them down before we take them to the production floor as well.
Perfect. So you're actually adding to the list of those, the glass and brittle. That's interesting. That makes sense. And then they themselves are checked.
Correct. We check whatever's on the tablet, whether it be the strap or anything that has potential to fall off.
Yep. Okay. Good point. All right, so another great question here. Can you describe the initial setup process of converting current forms over to the software? How long would converting a check sheet with, say, 20 items take to upload? That's a pretty good one. We can handle this ourselves. I'll take the first one, and then you take the guess. I think the initial setup process, Josh, I like how you say it, like involve the users, right? Look at what they're
Correct.
doing, take an opportunity to, can we make it better, right? Can we make this process or this check something easier for you to do? So, try and improve upon the existing process there, but then make sure that it's standardized across the different facilities. That will unlock that data standardization and that real tracking and trending. So how long do you think it would take to convert a check sheet with, say, 20 items? And Kim, if you're still on, why don't you check in too? So I'm going to ask Josh how long it would take you to do 20 items, and then I'm going to ask Kim if she can type in.
Me, I would say 20 minutes or so, depending on how lengthy each check or question is and how much typing is involved. But actually putting the form together is really, really simple once you get the hang of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it really, there's no limit, on these forms and these checks. So you can make them as detailed as you want and keep asking questions. And some of these, if you think about it, it uses if-then logic, right, Josh? So if somebody says, oh, this check didn't occur, or maybe this check was outside of the spec, it will actually open up a new window or slight thing that says, oh, because you selected this, I need you to take a little more time to put in this extra piece of data. That's usually that corrective action, right? So it will
Correct.
vary. It will vary based on the actual check that's going on too.
Right.
Yeah, good. So another great one. These are great questions, guys. What internal resources did you dedicate to the initial creation of the forms and reports? Like, think about hours and people. Can you kind of roll that up for us a bit?
So the main department we focused on was our QC department with our forms. So I picked one individual that I knew the forms really well, was very energetic about it, very positive, and so we worked hand in hand together. And I asked what she wanted the forms to look at, and I built the forms. She practiced on them, and we moved them. We went live with them. So I think the biggest thing is getting people involved, finding your strongest people, people that want to work with it, and working with them.
Yep. Good. Yeah, and it's going to vary. I mean, we've had, Josh, some customers that had, pretty simple. They've got one or two lines, one facility. They don't have a lot of programs, and they've got one auditor, right? So,
Right.
the complexity can dictate how much lift takes place. But I will say, we as a team, the project manager and the implementation team that we have here, really works together with your teams to outline what those weeks look like. You'll know ahead of time about how much time it's going to take us and you to put this all together, because it isn't just us. We won't know your business right away. We'll get to learn it real quick, and we'll also bring into that conversation our expertise across poultry, fish, meat, dairy, right? All of your grains, all of any kind of a food that's out there, we're dealing with. So we've got great experts to help out along the way. Got
Right.
a great
And
question. Go ahead.
go ahead.
Please.
Just saying, with COVID this year, I was a little skeptical on how this was going to go, and being able to get trained through Zoom, but it actually went very well, and the plan was outlined like you said, and it ran very smoothly.
Yeah, that was we kudos to our team. This was a wrench in everybody's gears, and we were still able to implement remotely a lot, and we even opened up, as GFSI opened up their remote audit, sort of their look on that and certifications, we were enabling customers to do remote stuff more too, because again, it's all on a tablet. You don't need to be there necessarily. So,
Right.
but got another good question. Boy, I'm just going to keep going. We've got a little more time. So can you describe the validation process? This person, Larry, says, is it software part 11 compliant? I'll take that. Absolutely.
Okay.
SafetyChain is Title 21 CFR Part 11 compliant. That's the Code of Federal Regulations for the FDA, right? So
Right.
yes, absolutely are on that section. I think it's, don't quote me. I think it's 11.1 or something like. Anyway, we are compliant there. The validation is built in. So yeah, we make sure we know that our customers need that and just have that confidence in the software. So got another question for you. I think this might wrap it up too. So hey, this person asks, are those dashboards, or so what we were looking at earlier, Josh, some of the dashboards, are those yours, or does everyone see them? Do you, I could see, I'm reading some hesitation in this person's writing. So tell me, are those yours? Do you share them? Can people have their own?
That's a good question because most of those were mine, but I love how you can share those dashboards. So if there's anyone that wants that information that you're gathering, you can definitely share them with that person's username, and they can see them then they can see them on their dashboard as well. So you can either build something unique what you want, or if someone wants to share something with you, build it together how y'all both want it, and then that way y'all can share it. It's your preference.
Yeah, exactly. And that's actually what sort of how it drives it. There's profile logins. You can assign different profiles so that people have different access, right? So you don't want somebody doing a check or a sign off that isn't supposed to, like an operator. Usually you have
Right.
your supervisor, team lead, a manager of some nature doing that. So when you log into SafetyChain, everyone has different access control as well. So that does enable you to build your own dashboards, make sure you are looking at the stuff that's important to you. And that's really the nice part about rolling it up to executive team sometime too, Josh, which is if you've got 3 plants, if you're just the general manager of the plant 1, well, to be really honest, I would be looking at my other plants too, because I'm a little competitive, but that's just me. I think your managers and stuff like on the floor though, they're just going to be concerned about what's happening in their plant, and you want them focused on that. But you can see at a single view how operations are running across all facilities, and that's really what unlocks good conversations, asking good discussion points to say how do we want to improve. So. All right. I think that is it, Josh. I appreciate so
All
much
right.
you taking time, your second day back off vacation. So
Yep.
with that, want to wish everyone a great day. Thanks everyone for joining us. We'll follow up with you with some links following this, and it's been a pleasure talking with you, Josh. Have a great day, sir.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. That ends it for us today. Have a great week, everyone. Cheers.